All right. So good evening, and thanks for, coming back. I was a bit confused because I didn't know. Is this the same group I took last week? Or this a different group? This chapter is Golden Gate, right?
No, Golden
Yes,
Executive.
Golden Executive.
Golden
Two
Executive.
tests.
So
Yeah, that's about a month ago.
a month ago. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what did we do? We did something about
Michael Jackson.
my goodness. We did Michael Jackson, really. Indeed, there's something to remember. Okay, so I was quite confused because last week I did performance thinking from a different perspective. This time we're using Michael Jackson, but we're not using This Is It. A bit of that, but we use a song called We Are the World. Okay, we know in somewhere 1980s they won the Grammys award, and we saw how we could pull all the stars in the world to create, a mega performance to be able to delight the customers. Today we want to talk about critical thinking, and it was this morning that Francis called me. I was on the motorway, and he says they want me to treat a topic of this nature. And my challenge was that I had prepared for something else. So when this thing came up, I said, okay, so let's see what happens. But I didn't know it was this, group. Now that I know how to build on what we did the previous time, because performance thinking really is linked to critical and analytical thinking. So I want to ask a question, and I want an answer. Ghana is in serious crisis. We all know, right? Is that correct? Is that correct? We are in serious crisis. Maybe some of us are not aware, but we're in serious crisis, right? Is that correct? I need an answer. Is that correct? Are we in serious crisis?
Yes, correct.
Very correct. Like that, it depends on where we are standing.
That's what I'm asking. No, I don't want you to stand anywhere. Stand as a Ghanaian. And are we in serious crisis?
Well, we are in all. I think we're in all manner of crisis. Economically, even socially, and other things. So I believe there are some bits of crisis that surrounds us as a people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I kind of consult for some people. Maybe either in government or not, and we see these guys come on radio, on television, maybe sometimes at the parliamentary floor, and they still blame the structure of the economy. And we've been singing this song quite a long time. And yet, up until now, we have not had solution to it. So this is a country that is ours, our beloved Ghana. And that is the only country we have. That is the only country we have. We do not have anywhere to go. If there is any crisis, if there is any war or anything that happens to this country, we don't have anywhere to go. And once a country faces economic challenges, it is likely for this to degenerate into national security issue. And that is where a number of things happen. So whatever is happening in this country is of something that should be of great concern to all of us. So Ghana back to the IMF, right? So what is the solution? I'm using this as an intro for you to know that the solution starts from us and not probably the way we see things as it is from government. And that is where I want us to posit this topic of critical analytical thinking. It only talks about innovation. It means innovation, to innovate. And it really means that people say that think outside the box. Government have been saying that we have to think outside the box, but they are still in the box. They are still in the box because we keep repeating what we are doing. We have not changed. So we are still in a box. The structure of the economy is the same. We pay salaries and then we pay other loans and that's it. The expenditure is gone. So we have to borrow to refinance. And up until now, there has not been any deliberate, strategy to avert this problem, this canker that has killed us, from time immemorial since Nkrumah. And this evening, I just want us to challenge ourselves. And the solution to this problem is one thing, is to use the brain. That's the solution. So there are two economies. There are two economies. There's the personal economy. That is your own economy. We heard the testimony here. Somebody's economy is good. And there's the global one. But when we have a good personal economy, that helps us. So critical thinking, there have been a number of definitions. Some authors say that it is that mode of thinking about a subject, content, or problem in which the thinker improves the quality of his or her thinking by skillfully analyzing, assessing, and reconstructing it. Now, the word is skillfully, and it's saying that critical thinking is self-directed, and take note of these words: self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitor, self-corrective thinking. It is self. You don't need any other person. It is you. That you improve your thinking. You improve your thinking. And another definition also says critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally. And sometimes we do make irrational decisions, we agree. But I said that it includes the ability to engage in reflective, independent thinking. Most of us think that if you have any idea, you need validation from somewhere. What makes you think that the person who is validated for you has a superior, mindset than yours, and for which reason you want validation from that person? And that when the guy says it is true, then it means that, or when he validates it, it means it's true. All right. You need to be able to have a procedure to validate what you have done. Someone with critical thinking skills is able to do the following: understand the logical connection between ideas, how to connect ideas logically. Somebody with critical thinking is able to do that. Okay, it's able to put the dots together, to make a case. Okay, now let's go to analytical thinking. Analytical thinking is, in fact, it talks about visualization. Now, it talks about vision. Someone who is analytical is able to see. And there's a definition here which is just amazing. It says that analytical thinking is a critical component of visual thinking. Visual thinking. That gives one the ability to solve problems quickly and effectively. Quickly and effectively. It involves methodological step-by-step approach of thinking that allows you to break complex problems into single and manageable units. Okay, so you're able to do that. So for instance, somebody says, I want to start a business, I'm raising maybe 100,000 Ghana cedi. And because he says 100,000 Ghana cedi, somebody with analytical thinking will be able to break it up and tell you that, see, that the 100,000 Ghana cedi is easy to raise when you get 50 people or 20 people to pay X. You are able to raise it, okay? These are people who are able to break things that are complex to manageable units. so that you can see that the problem is not as big as you think of it. Okay. For instance, Ghana is highly indebted. Okay. So is it a case that if we begin to divide our population, the working class, by the debts that we have, we will know how much each one is owing, right? There are rich people amongst us. Or is it a case that instead of going to IMF, we can just put rich people together and tell them to give us some X factor, X amount, and then we look at it and then use it judiciously for some specific project? Is it possible that that could be done? Or is it the case that anytime we need to finance our budget, we need to go to borrow? Is borrowing the answer to the problem? Because over the period, we have borrowed a number of times, and it's clear that that cannot save us. All right. So this is what we need to do as a country by using the brain. And let me just be honest with you on this. Our educational structure has produced who we are today. And that is a reflection of the economy that we are managing. So you cannot blame anyone. That's how we've been educated. And so we are always content within the space that we are. And we have not allowed the brain to work as it is expected. We have not allowed the brain to think. And that is what I'm presenting to you today. Analytical skill is defined as the ability to visualize, articulate, conceptualize, and solve what problem. And these people solve complex problems. Okay, complex problem. Now, somebody with analytical thinking has these characteristics. Critical analytical thinking is an active listener. I know some of us, anytime in a forum or something, they want to speak. If you realize those who are able to do things, move things, I mean, they are always quiet. Okay, they are always quiet because they want to listen. There is more to learn than to say. They always want to listen. In a meeting, when people are talking and then they keep quiet, they want to listen because they want to learn. And an active listener, being an active listener is also a skill. Because if you see wisdom in whatever someone says, it helps. Curiosity, one always asks questions, would want to find out why. Self-discipline. And I tell people, you don't need motivation. And sometimes they say motivational speakers. I don't listen to motivational speakers because I need self-discipline. That's what I need. If I listen to them, they say, okay, they say things to move you. But the fact of the matter is that you would have to do the movement. Okay? So you will have to do the movement. You understand? It is you who has to do it. And because you have to do it, you need that self-discipline to do the things you need to do. And if motivation would come into your life, it is something that is self-directed. You would have to do it. And above all, those who have these traits of critical analytical thinking, they are very humble, all right? Because they are humble, they are accepted wherever they go. Now, it's important to know that in the environment we live or in business, whatever information we have or that comes to us goes to everyone. We possess the same information. We compete on the same market if it's a business. We use the same resources. It's the same. The resources are abundant. If we have to buy something, some raw material somewhere, we are not prevented from buying just because we are different. I mean, these resources are available. Maybe in terms of how much you buy, in terms of the money you have, would distinguish one company from the other. But no one restricts you from even borrowing and doing that. Now, the difference is simple. Even though we are in the environment, the difference is simple. The difference is that what we generate out of that information we receive, we all receive. I'm giving out information now. What do we generate out of it? and how we also compete on the market and how we use the resources. That is the differentiating factor. Okay. Now, when we say we want to think outside the box, what do we mean? And I want to give you an illustration. This is a box. Can you see it? Can we see the box?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
So there's a box. So I take something out of the box. This is what? What is this, please? Can you see?
Yeah, it's a ice tray, ice maker, ice cube maker.
What is this? This is oil. It's in the box, right? I'm still taking it from the box. This is also something from the box, okay? A supplement. I'm taking things from the box. This is a skipping rope from the box. There's another big box here. All right, a big one here. Okay, and I'm taking something out from the box. There's a book from the box. There's a gallon from the box. This is a kettle or something. What is it? A blender from the box. So all these things I showed to you are things you know, isn't it? We know them. We know them. So what really limits us is what is in the box, because there are things that we know. And listen to this statement. This is big. It said to creatively think outside the box is not a luxury, but a necessity for us and as our dignity as human beings. What it means is that we were originally programmed by God to always think outside the box. And when we fail to do that, we as human beings reduce our dignity. That is what it means. It is not luxury. So education, the things we know, the book, rules that society sets, standard operating procedures in organization, they are all in the box. But to think outside the box means you have to do two things. You are innovative. You can take something outside the box like the book and apply it in a way that has never been applied in that box. That one, it comes outside the box. So you can use existing items in the box and use it in a way that has never been applied before. And you can also generate something from the scratch. So if you take the ice cube, whatever we know that it's an ice cube. Could we use it for something else other than an ice cube and create something new? So those who create a product or service, what they do, which becomes unique and have that superior power to penetrate the market, are those who use the same procedure, the same rules, but they apply it differently or create something from the scratch. All right? So which box are we talking about? The box is not our mind, because we cannot think outside our mind. It is the boundary. So the boundary is what I showed you. Within the box, there are these items, and the boundary is that you can only use this for ice cube, period. If society sees you pouring something else, maybe sand, into this, and then keeping it somewhere, somebody is going to see you and ask your mom, is it okay? Is your child okay? Because they have not seen that before. Because they said it's ice cube. They've set the standard. So when you break the standard, they see you as going outside what? The box. Why? Because they don't have any means of measuring this. And it becomes useless when it comes outside the box. But once it becomes useless, a new product or service is created. Because once upon a time, this was not an ice cube. There was no ice maker. There was nothing called this. It was somebody who took this thing inside the box and applied it differently. When they saw that it was good, then they put it inside the box and it became a rule for people to use. So all products that you see today were created outside the box. But once it's accepted by society, now they put it in the box. And when you try to come outside the box, the same people criticize you. Okay? So we are saying that the boundary is within our mind. The boundary between what we know and what we haven't thought about. Education, environment, family, workplace, theories create these boundaries for us. They create this boundary for us. Yes, in the workplace, you have to follow procedures. So that limits you. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to think. Once upon a time, there was a guy in one of the companies I facilitated a seminar. And then this guy, I mean, when we were doing something about performance thinking, he told us a story. He said, Dr. Boison, there was a time in my company, I'm an electronics guy. I didn't go to school. I was doing this wayside, I mean, as apprentice work, this vocational work. And then I was, for some reason, this company, I mean, took me up and it took me on, and then I decided to work with them. So once upon a time, they do share butter. So where the finances, where they burn the whole thing, something happened, and then the motor went off. So normally what they do is they do teleconferencing. The consultants, I mean, called in and they showed them how to fix. They did everything, it didn't work. The consultants were worried. Okay, so it really didn't work. So they left, and consultants were still on the call through this either Zoom or teleconferencing. So this guy was just around, was walking around, and when they all left and they were thinking, and the company, what really happens is that an hour, when they have an hour shutdown, it's going to cost them in the region of $100,000 and above dollars. Okay, and that was critical. So this guy went and sat there, thought about the thing carefully. And all he did was that he turned the motor and fixed it. By the time they realized, the plant has come. So when they came, they just, I mean, had to carry him high, and the guy has become a hero. No one asked him how he fixed it. When success matters, okay, there is no discrimination. You don't see. When there is success, there's no discrimination. What did the guy do? He turned it. Why? In the box, they were all asked to fix it in a certain manner. Out of creativity, out of deep thinking, he came outside the box and he asked himself, we've been fixing this one this way every day. Why can't we change it? Why? What prevents us from changing it? And as we speak today, that motor that was created or manufactured by that company, as we speak today, they fixed it the way this young man who never stepped in school fixed it, the way he turned it. That is the original design now. That has given that company that boost because they never had the solution to this. So I ask the question, would you want to come outside the box? There's always a fear. There's always the fear because, I mean, you ask yourself, what are the mechanisms? Because no one knows what is outside the box. No one knows. And once they don't know what is outside the box, they will see you as being crazy because they don't have anything to assess whatever you are doing, whether it's good or bad, or whether it makes sense. So they will say you are senseless. It doesn't make sense. The first time I told some guys I was going to use music to teach performance thinking. They said I'm crazy. In a class where I need what course was that? University of Staffordshire, UK. One of the questions I set for review by the external exam was a song. I sent a song, 2 songs. One was a song by Kakeku. In fact, the 2 songs. The first one and the song, I mean, that you have the file, and then that song had been interpreted so that the reviewer from UK would understand. The first one is Obiamane Esanyobi, and that was used for pastel analysis. Okay, analyzing external, doing external assessment. These 2 songs, Obiamane Esanyobi. Okay, all by Kakuku. And then there was one where the bird and then the turtle. Okay, when the turtle told the bird that, I mean, what you're doing, you should be very careful so that you don't create that problem for me. Okay, and then the bird didn't listen. I mean, was just making noise. A hunter passes by, shot the bird fell exactly where the turtle was. And then the hunter took, the 2. And that was when the turtle told the bird that I told you that what you were doing, you were going to create a problem for me. Obiamane Esanyobi. Okay. And then there was another one where the bird had, a friend that is the turtle. And then the bird asked the turtle that when my mother dies or when I have a funeral, how would you attend? That funeral, because you cannot fly. Okay. And you remember that song. And it was just amazing. So the message that came from UK, they asked my dean that, is this guy all right? That was the question they asked. And the dean is, that person is all right. I said, really? This is the first time I'm seeing this. That was what they were asking. And guess what? The kind of analysis these students were able to do, it was just amazing. Okay, it was just amazing. So we have a lot of ideas which are convergent information. The ideas we have in the box, they are all convergent information. Why? They converge, they make sense. This box, the ideas we have in it, they converge. They make sense. They are logical, isn't it? They converge. We say convergent information. But what we need is not convergent information. What we need is rather divergent information. Information that doesn't converge, they diverge. Once information diverge, then we are going outside the box. It doesn't make sense. But really, we are creating something new that can take us somewhere we do not know. That can create some product or services for us, something unique. Check all the best guys in the world who have been the rich guys in the world. They are all critical thinkers. But I said something initially that our default way of thinking should be that way. That is how God created us. I mean, the problem is that our educational system has not helped us. And so those who want to be a little bit critical, they are seen as people who are out of their mind. So I tell people, we don't need deep thinkers because the deep thinkers are still in this box. They are not out. What we need is long thinkers. People who think long. They are not deep thinkers. They are long thinkers. Okay? So in critical thinking, we can use association of ideas and combination of ideas, extraction of principles, application of principles in areas they were never used before. And in that, we need to be open-minded. Now, listen to this, another powerful quote. You look for alternatives and not for correct answers. Because in life, there has never been any question that has been correctly answered. There's no correct answer. And when I teach in class, I tell students that there's nothing wrong or right in this class, because you can be consistently inconsistent. And I'll give you the mark. You can be consistently inconsistent. And you can be inconsistently consistent. Once it makes sense, then it means the brain is working. You will still get the mark. So we look for alternatives, but not for correct answers. And in life, if you have more alternatives, for you who are working now, I ask you a question. And I tell this to, when I'm doing some of these things. If you wake up tomorrow and they give you a letter of termination of your appointment, what will happen to you? Do you have any alternative? It's like a tsunami that has happened to you. Do you have any alternative? Can you survive? You cannot live on that one leg. You need to create more alternatives for yourself. All right? You need to do that. So one thing, so for me, what I do is I have 5 or 6 jobs always running at the same time. Anytime one goes down, another alternative is added, because I need buffers to be able to sustain myself. I shouldn't be taken by surprise. And I always think that the businesses have gone wrong. And without thinking, I'm able to create more in addition. So I ask myself, what about these three businesses go down? When you wake up in the morning and everything is gone, what is going to happen? How are you going to live? And these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Okay, let me quickly move to some of these guys who have been able to do things outside the box. We all know earpiece. We've been using earpiece. This guy, Danny Menu, what did he do? This same earpiece, he built the earbuds that can auto-translate 40 languages. Same concept in the box, applied in a way that has never been applied before. Simple, he creates a product, he's a millionaire. You remember this guy? During the COVID-19, we know about solar system. It has been around. This barrel, we know what we use it for. They use it for palm oil and, oil. When these ladies, when they sell, we use it for petrol and other diesel oil. They put it in this tank. What did he use it for? He used it during the COVID because we were not supposed to touch. And he used the sensors that we have in the system already and has applied it in a way that has never been applied before. He creates a product. The normal tie, our car ties, people are now using it for decoration. They are applying it, so we are no more using wood, applying it in a way that has never been applied before. Critical thinking. Is it the case that the managers of our economies will begin to see things from a different perspective by forgetting about these GDP and economic indicators? Because in Dubai, they are talking about gross happiness index to know whether the health of a country, not gross domestic product. That's not what we are doing. So we stay in the box and we bring the Cambridge and the whatever, and they keep repeating the same thing. There's no creative thinking. It's not happening. Okay? You see this guy, rubber, you see this waste? It's what has been turned into the slabs and it's used for building. Again, that same box, that same rules and procedures, we pick this thing out and I've applied it in a way that has never been applied before. Coconut rebranded. Coconut rebranded. Sometimes you don't need to do so much. They just rebrand it. The same thing applied in a way that has never been used before. Dubai created an artificial rain. They did it. China has created artificial sun. Are they not human beings like us? Are they not? Let me tell you a story. Japan has been touted as those who have used their brains I mean, if you look at the whole world, because they live in earthquake-prone areas. And every day there's earthquake. So every day the buildings are swinging and all that. Today, even when there's earthquake, they don't see the impact. You see the building swinging because they're built in a way that the building can swing and nothing can happen to them, right? Now, guess how much percentage that they've used their brain is 5%. Tell me what has happened to us. It's 5%. It tells you that the human brain is so powerful that what we can do is just unimaginable. Elon Musk is the richest guy on earth. Elon is the richest guy on earth. Today, we can go to space at a cheaper rate. Other countries are resettling on Mars because we are depleting the ozone layer. We are doing that. They are planting crops. They are growing, products there because they believe that one day the earth will not be habitable anymore. So the success these guys have chalked, there's one thing that spans through. They defied logic. They did. They did defy logic. And so what do you need to do? I'll give you a solution. Dedicate a time to think. Let me tell you what we've been doing for the past 15, 20 years. Maybe the past 5 years, maybe the past 10 years. We wake up in the morning, we drive the kids to school. If we are not married, we do our household chores, we have our prayer, and we drive to work, do our work, come to full gospel, or go to another meeting and come home, sleep, wake up. We've been doing this in how many years? You see, that is an autopilot life. The life is on autopilot. And once it is autopilot, you auto crash. There is nothing, that is agile in that type of life. But what you need to do is to dedicate time to think. I do that in the hours, sometimes 3 a.m. Sometimes I do this 4 a.m., sometimes 5 a.m. I dedicate 30 minutes to think, open my mind, okay, in a quiet mood, and allow the brain to take me anywhere I would want to go. And to bring this thing to a close, let's do this short exercise. I would want to see each and every one. If it's possible, let me see your face so that I know you are with me. Let me see your face. If you are part of what we are doing, you can put on your camera and I see your face, because I want to do something short and then bring this thing to a close. Are we there?
Yeah, here, Doc.
Okay.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to do this. So we just close our eyes and just listen to this 1 minute story. Okay. So you close your eyes. So in the cool weather, in the forest, you found yourself around a number of animals. There was the deer, there was the tiger, there was the cheetah, and also the lion. These animals were around you, and they could not hurt you. You could relate to them. As you move with these animals, looking at the green vegetations where the butterflies, you saw the butterflies flying in the air. You saw the squirrel. And then also the bush cats, who all joined the gang. all of a sudden you saw yourself in another forest. This time you saw the ants, that family. They look fearsome, but they came around and then formed something that represented who you are. You saw your name, you saw your values in there. And then the next minute, you saw yourself on the top, a very top mountain. And then you saw a valley and river flowing down. You started flying on the surface of the valley, flying down as if you were almost in the valley. And when you were almost landing in the middle of the valley, you saw a big shark open its mouth. It came very close and almost swallowed you. All right. Did you follow the story?
Yes.
I want a feedback. So did you see yourself?
Yes, we did.
You saw yourself in the forest?
Yes.
You saw yourself in the forest, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to tell you that when you wake up in the morning and you are doing this exercise, this is actually what happens. This is how imaginative you become. And it can carry you wherever you go. So you dedicate a time to think, for the brain was not made just to remember things, but to create. That was what the brain was made to do. Okay. We read in the Bible that Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. The darkness was all over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. What was the man doing? That was imagination. But imagination should be backed with what? Action. He said, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And just to let you know, this guy is called Joseph Campbell. Is the author and orator of comparative religion. And he once said, is that we must be willing to let go the life we have planned so as to allow or accept that life that is awaiting us. Outside the box are countless opportunities. Outside the box are millionaires that there is money that is there awaiting people to catch up with creativity outside the box. That is what is there. William Arthur Ward said something. He said, if you can imagine it, then you can achieve it. And if you can dream it, you can become it. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you. I'm available for questions.
God bless you.